Okay, it's getting close. We got one of two live. I'm going to check and see if the rest of these, everything's going. Well, guys, a minute early, we are live. I see at this point, there's nobody on. So I'll wait a few moments to see who else jumps on. I see one, and it looks like we have one person on Facebook. We have a couple jumping on. Well, hi, guys. If you don't know who I am, that's fine. In the midst of COVID-19, I don't necessarily know who I am each day either. But my name is TJ Terry. I'm the Executive Director of Operations here at Water's Edge Church. And what we are jumping into today is how to be a social media influencer. And so, oh, I see some hellos. Hello, Dale. I've got JT. Hey, Mary Beth. I'll answer to anything. Oh, it's Bethany. How are you? I'll say for what it's worth, guys, I've been on almost every one of these streams in the background, helping the stream to go live. It's the first time, or I think the second time I've been on this end of the camera. It's a very different experience. I'll just say for what it's worth, and I'll give a few minutes, guys, before we get started. There is a group of people that spend every single week a portion of their time trying to find ways to continue to engage you guys in the church. There's my wife. I appreciate her joining. She's saying hi. It's probably not surprising to find out that each and every week we're putting in a ton of energy to try to figure out how to keep you guys engaged during this strange and unusual season that we're in. And the exciting thing is we've done some stuff really well. We're continuing to learn and grow. And the hope would be that we leverage all of this shared experience to continue to grow and thrive. Matt Hoover just asked, is that the brain behind me? And the answer is that is absolutely the brain. I received that as a gift back in my Apple days. And unfortunately, more times than I'd like to share, I have a very similar scowl. I'll keep engaging with you guys here for a few more moments. I will say for what it's worth, I have two goals. Three goals for today. One, I'd love to talk about how you guys can grow your influence from a social media standpoint and influence your friends, influence family, influence people you don't even know yet as an individual. And good day, Mr. Massey, how are you? Double fist bump. But then second, how you guys can use that influence to help us. And it's not really about us as much as it is creating, absolutely utilizing social media as a resource to grow the kingdom of God in real and material ways. And so we're about 2 minutes in, guys. I'll give a couple more minutes. Hello, everybody. So glad that you joined. I think we're sitting on about 20 folks. If you're on Instagram, I really won't be able to see your comments. Let me see if I can get that up on my phone real quick. I should have the technology to do that. Give me just 1 second. It looks like a few folks have joined from Instagram too. So I'm going to jump in. So as I mentioned, the first thing I want to do is I'd love to talk through what I have is 8 helpful tips in growing your ability to be a social media influencer. And then the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through how you can utilize that influence to grow our church in really substantial ways. And then the third piece is to give you guys a little teaser for something that we're doing next week. If you guys joined us yesterday for our services, they were amazing. So much needed right now, but it was mentioned that we were supposed to have a special guest today. Well, the good news is we still have a special guest. Her name is Taylor. She'll be joining us next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So this is an early sell for next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Taylor will be joining. Taylor works for a company called Firebelly. We as WEC have been working with Firebelly for the last 6.5 months, almost 7 months. And for what it's worth, guys, they are experts at social media and utilizing social media to grow your influence as a church or as an individual. For what it's worth, guys, in 7 months, I did some quick research before we jumped on, and we have grown our influence on Facebook, Instagram, through Google, as well as YouTube, 600%. Since we joined our partnership with Firebelly. So some of this stuff I'm going to be sharing with you guys has been what I've learned from them. But next week, Taylor will be on at 1 o'clock. We'll spend that time. She's going to take it to a whole nother level. And she's also going to be available for questions and answers. So let's jump in. And I've got notes I'm going to be reading to some degree, guys. If there are questions near the end, I will work to jump into those. But this 8 things I would suggest is, and I'll use Water's Edge Church as an example of that. Good morning, Pat. Just a quick tangent, but the first step in becoming an influencer is finding your niche. Oftentimes people will use their voice to talk about a myriad of things, everything from a meal they made to a new pet that they purchased, to a brand that they love, to how-to videos on makeup. And to be honest, it's so important that you focus your energy. You find out something that you love, something that you believe in, something that you at your heart you believe that people cannot do without, and you make that your focus. So many of the social media influencers out there have a very specific niche, and it's so important in some of these other pieces that I'll share that you find your niche. And the good news is, you find the wrong niche, you'll establish the right niche over time. But just ask yourself the question, what do I believe in? What am I passionate about? What do I feel like is missing out there in the social media marketplace that I could have my place in it? So step 1 is find your niche. And again, if you go the shotgun approach and you do 57 different things, good afternoon, Betsy. It's going to be very hard for your audience to find you and for them to come back to your content over and over and over again in a way that will help your influence to grow. Because again, the goal is to use your influence. We all have influence, but to use your influence in a positive way in the world. So number 1 is find your niche. 2 is think differently. Now, I'll be honest, guys, WEC is synonymous with changing the way people think about church, right? We think differently, but so many of the social media influencers out there just have a different perspective, a different take, a different way of looking at things that creates their own place in the market, if you will. And again, if you're resuscitating content that 53 other people through social media are communicating, you're in a very busy marketplace. So the goal would be, even if you're passionate about something, and I'm going to use an example, you're passionate about interior design. If your interior design looks just like everybody else's interior design, it's going to be very hard to grow your audience, very hard for your role as an influencer to develop at the same time too. So you've got to put some energy into thinking differently about that thing by which you have passion. So 1 is find your niche. 2, think about it differently. I'll use an example. One of the ways you can do this, and we won't get into it significantly, but if you reach out to me later, you can absolutely get some more details. A lot of the people out there in the world that are driving the world forward utilize a different way of thinking. It's called first principles thinking. It's a way of looking at decision making a little bit differently. So if you do a Google search for first principles thinking, you'll find that Elon Musk, a lot of those brilliant thinkers out there are utilizing that methodology to change the way they think about things, looking at things from a different perspective. So find your niche, something you're passionate about, something you believe in, and find ways to communicate about it, to think about it differently. I'll also say, for what it's worth, pick one social media channel. And it really has to closely align with what you're passionate about. So if you're passionate about business and business leadership, the best social media channel for you could very much be LinkedIn, which, by the way, is exploding. Instagram and LinkedIn are exploding with regards to their roles in the social media marketplace. So think about your niche and say, hey, where do I see people communicating about the thing that I am passionate about, and pick one, ideally pick 1, maybe 2 social media outlets. Because again, if you spread it out across 50 different, 30 different, 20 different, even 3, if you say, hey, I'm going to go crazy on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, you don't get that mass density that you may get if you really focus in on one. And again, going back to that interior design example, maybe it's not videos, it's photography, and maybe it's not Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, it's Pinterest. They're all very busy marketplaces, but if you start out with what you're passionate about, you find a different way to think about it, different way to share about it, and then you focus in on one platform, you've got the best chance for your audience to grow. So that's 3. Choose a platform and stick with it. The fourth thing would be develop a strategy and a content strategy specifically. So that's just to say that I'm going to use an example. One of the principles for efficient content strategy is called the 5-3-2 principle. Basically what that means is out of every 10 posts you publish to your focused social media account, 5 should be valuable content written by somebody else. And so it would be, man, oh man, I read this article by so-and-so about interior design and it blew my mind. You guys should check it out. So again, as you're establishing your brand, 5 of the 10 posts should be something that blew your mind, something that really impacted you in a significant way outside of yourself. 3 should be educational or informative content that you create. And 2 should be posts about you. So 2 should be posts about you. They want to get to know you. So many successful influencers are really seen as friends. I'll be honest with you, and if my wife is still on, she may have given up on me already, but if my wife is still on, she sees a lot of these folks as I'm checking in on my friends. So you have to do posts about yourself so that people can get to know you and feel connected to you and your story. And again, 3 posts are informative content or educational content that you originate yourself. And then 5 are you linking to others. And oftentimes if the articles or the videos that you're linking to are what someone else created, you're benefiting their content strategy and you're bringing customers over, you're bringing the audience over from their posts at the same time too. So 5-3-2 would be a way to look at 10 posts, and 5 you don't even have to worry about creating. You just have to find something that impacts you. 3 you're making from the ground up, and 2 you are the subject matter expert. You are you. So you should, if those are a struggle, you probably need to do a little bit, more work. The next step is grow your network. If the only people that are participating in the content you create are your friends and family, you aren't growing your network. And so not only should you be reaching out to find other influencers, other content, but you should be reaching out and getting to know your neighbors, if you will. If you see people that are consuming your content, is to reach out with them directly. Growing your network is huge. Because again, if you get to 1,000 followers in a social media platform and you do not see it consistently grow, you aren't also expanding your influence at the same time too. I'm throwing these out fast, guys, but I want to get to the second half of this conversation. And so grow your network is the next step in the process. And again, if you are, my wife says guilty as charged. She definitely checks in on at least 500 influencers a night. And so we've become experts over time. It's probably like 5, but it feels like 500. With regards to grow your influence, again, if you can absolutely look up growth in your channel, growth in your area. And if you aren't seeing that growth, you've got to challenge yourself. How can I reach out? How can I expand? How can I participate in other people's social media platforms, become known there and create connections? I will say that this next step is kind of connected. The best way to grow your network is to encourage those that are already participating to share. In the moment, like right now, guys, if any of this is helpful, share it. If you haven't shared already, share it right now. That's absolutely fine. If you believe in it, if you are getting substance from it, you have to believe that people that love you and know you see you as an advocate and something that they would want to jump into too. It's very easy to grow your network through shares. I'll give you guys an example. Yesterday, we had almost 100 shares of our Sunday messages between 9:30, 11, and 6 at Waters Edge Church. You know how many views that led to? It led to 1,000 additional views of the service in 24 hours. 100 shares, 1,000 additional views of our content in a 24-hour period. So growing your network is easy as encouraging the people that you're already connected with to share. One of the ways you have to do that, though, is you have to engage with your followers. So the next step is engage your followers. Now, we have seen this at Waters Edge since going online over the last few months. If we engage with people as they're watching, they'll watch longer, they will participate longer. And so if you don't have an engagement strategy, you're just posting content and letting it stand on its own, you're relinquishing the opportunity to create connection with these folks and become a human to them, not just a face on a screen that they're watching at the same time too. So again, growing your audience, but you got to engage with your followers. You got to ask them questions. You've got to create relationships much, much more deeply. And ultimately, the next step in the process is evaluate your progress. One of the ways of doing that is through engagement, is reaching out. Hey guys, you haven't heard from me in a week. What are you missing? Hey, I just posted this video. What are your thoughts? So looking through comments as they come, but at the same time, looking at statistics with the channel that you choose. If every single outlet out there, whether that be LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, has reporting on the back end that you can connect into to see the progress that you're making. And in social media, for what it's worth, there is no standing still. You've got to be driving forward. You've got to be driving forward. So evaluate your progress. Every day of the week, WEC is evaluating the progress we are making as a part of the content we're putting out for you guys. Every day of the week. Every Sunday, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're taking a look at what we put out for you guys, and we're finding a way to tweak it, to make it better, because connecting with you is essential for us, especially in this season that we're in. The last thing I was going to share was just be consistent. If you find that your viewership is best at noon on a Thursday, post at noon on a Thursday. Create a live environment that you can engage with them while they're in the moment, just like I am now, seeing everybody talking through all these different pieces. Mary Beth, thank you so much for the feedback. I appreciate it. Is pay attention to when they're on and find ways to be on with them at the same time too. So I'm going to go through the 8 that I have. There's a bunch, man. You can find a ton of guides out there. Find your niche. What are you passionate about? Talk about it. It's easy. 2, think differently. Give your own perspective that's different from all the rest out there, and you'll have a unique identity in that social media marketplace. 3rd, pick a channel or 2 at most, specific to where you see people that like the things that you like engage the most. Don't feel like you've got to be out on all of them at once, because you can't get that mass density that really creates something that attracts people to it. Develop a content strategy. We talked about 5, 3, and 2. 2 about you, 3 you create, and 5 outside content, external content that excites you. Grow your network. Encourage people to share yourself, and find yourself with other people's products, engaging in those, and getting to be known out there too. Engage your followers. Good afternoon. Engage your followers. Find a way to spend time. Hold on just a sec. Savannah's sending a message in. I'll get to that just a second, Savannah, I promise. But engage your followers. Find a time to create the moment where they know they're connected to a person more than just a face on a screen, right? Evaluate your progress. If you aren't taking a look at how you've done, you won't know how to move forward. Set goals and evaluate your progress. And then last, be consistent. And so Savannah just said, I talk a lot about motherhood on my Instagram, and I've made many new connections with people I've never met. It's so fun. Again, it's something you're passionate about. There are others that are passionate about it too. So I mentioned to you guys, I had 3 goals. 1, and this next one will move a whole lot faster. I won't talk faster. It's just less to talk through. 1 was to give you guys just some helpful tricks on how to grow your influence. 2nd is I wanted to give you guys 4 quick ideas for how you could use your influence to help Water's Edge Church, help us grow our mission. Again, the church is all of us, right? And so if you guys can take the influence that God has given you and find ways to expand that, it can only do more for us and helping to move God's kingdom forward. So I just wanted to provide you guys with 4 quick ideas that could help you and help Water's Edge Church to grow its influence at the same time too. So 1, as you grow your influence, I would encourage you to, whenever you post about WEC, just use a consistent hashtag. So it could be hashtag WEC, hashtag Water's Edge Church, hashtag Water's Edge Yorktown, hashtag Water's Edge Church Online. Use a consistent hashtag. To be honest, guys, we pay attention to those hashtags and we report on those. And if we see that there's a consistent amount of growth in a specific area, we'll put more energy into that too. So a perfect example would be WEC Ambassador or WEC Influencer or WEC Fan. Just use a consistent hashtag when you post about WEC. It'll give us the opportunity to create greater visibility to that at the same time too. 2nd, use story. Story mode in both Facebook and Instagram are a perfect way for you to share your personal experiences about WEC. We see this happen every Sunday. But if you are sitting down for the 9:30 service with a screen in front of you on your back patio and it's a beautiful day, take a picture and post it to your story. And tag us in it because we can repost that as well. Take a video of you and your family worshiping together online in this season that we're in. It's absolutely, story is one of those perfect ways when we talk about the 10 posts, 5, 3, and 2. Those 2 posts about you, it's very easy to use story to make it personal. Those are great ways for you to do your own generated content to share, as well as it's great ways for us to help get the word out. And to be honest, guys, we've taken pictures from people's stories and used those for some of our social media posts because they're really great content. Step 3 is easy, and I'd love to show you guys a picture of it now, but make sure you've got good lighting. Good lighting is essential. If you take a great picture that no one can see, you will not see people drawn to that post. Use natural light as often as possible. Today's not the day for that. Use good lighting. Make sure your video is focused, not blurry. And when taking photos, make sure that when you look at that picture before you post it, it's, gosh, I think this is interesting, right? If you take a picture and you're not proud of it, especially if it's a picture of content that you're wanting to post, just take it again or skip that specific post if it's not there. But good lighting is key when taking pictures or video. Make sure it's focused and not blurry. And once the picture is taken, take a look at it and think about the composition of it. On a pictures front, oftentimes people take a centered shot of the thing they're focused in on, but it's not as interesting. Some quick Google searches on taking photos and giving them appropriate composition can help make that photo so much more interesting. And then last, it's easy for me to tell you guys to share content, but it's much more important to tell you guys how to do that. So Facebook has a share button. Just click the share button. Instagram doesn't. You'd have to tag us or tag yourself in one of our posts most often to see that shared more broadly. There's also an app that you can download. It's called the Repost app for Instagram. You can copy a link from one of our posts, open it in the Repost app, and share it on your Instagram feed. And again, that app is free. The Repost app is absolutely free, but that's a way for you to take a link from our WEC post, open it up in that app, and reshare it on your specific Instagram feed. And so you can absolutely share a WEC post in your Instagram story, but it makes it harder to see the progress that's made at the same time too. So again, Facebook's easy. You could just click a share button. We also create for WEC Online a way for you guys to share. It's a huge part of growing WEC's voice out there in the social media marketplace. But again, that Repost app for Instagram is an easy way for you to copy that link and share it. So it's been 22 minutes. I committed to myself that I would not breathe, but that I would push really, really hard through this content to try to keep it at 30 minutes. And then I just want to say a couple more quick things. So one, next Wednesday, 1 o'clock, Taylor will be on from Firebelly. For what it's worth, guys, Firebelly is a top 10 social media marketing firm in the US. Taylor has put 4 years of her life into utilizing influencers and growing influencers' presence in the marketplace to the benefit of her clients. And she was going to be on with me today, but she wants to step into it really prepared. So I gave you guys a taste, but trust me, guys, she's going to blow your minds next Wednesday at 1 with regards to what she can provide with regards to practical advice. We'll also create a Q&A session for that moment at the same time too, to give you guys the chance to get some questions answered. But hopefully you'll be able to join us next Wednesday at 1 because I'm a baby at this. I could say that what we've learned with Firebelly over the last 7 months or so has taught myself and the WEC staff a ton about how to utilize social media to grow our influence and at the same time share God's word. But Taylor's been doing this for years and she's just amazing at it. So I can't wait for you guys to meet Taylor, to give me the chance to brag about Taylor a little bit next Wednesday, but also to give you guys the chance to jump on and ask questions so that you can grow your influence at the same time too. But please, guys, any growth in your influence, utilize it to move WEC's mission forward. In the season that we transitioned back into physical space and we're really excited to get physically back together as soon as possible. We know that online is the way for us to reach people that couldn't drive here on a Sunday if they wanted, have gotten to know us over the last few months, and we want to continue to grow that. So as a transition, and usually I encourage others to share this, to take this step. I just love to pray with you guys really quickly. Nothing better than prayer for lunch. So I'm going to pray for us, and then I'll sign off. You guys, thank you so much for joining. You do not want to miss Live with Pastor Stu tomorrow night at 8:30, and then Wednesday we've got time with Ben Carr, leadership over lunch. I think engaging in this content is not only a break from the monotony that's going on in the season that we're in, but gives us a chance to stay connected as a church family, so that when we get back together, it's like we were never apart. So I'm going to pray, and then I'll say goodbye and see you guys next Wednesday at 1:00. Father God, we know that you have put in front of us in the generation that we are in tools that could never have existed, never could have even been in the imagination of people who were called to share your word for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. You knew, God, that this season would come when resources like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube would be these vehicles by which your word could be shared and magnified in a way that could never have been imagined. God, let us, as your people, as your bride, become great utilizers of these tools. So often, God, we become overwhelmed by things that are new and we run from them. But let this be a moment where we run to the tools that you've created for your word to be shared across the world in a split second. Help us, God, to grow our influence, to be a source of light in a scared world, and to find new and unique ways to share the word of God out in our audience, grow our audience, and at the same time, God, be unified in sharing your voice through Water's Edge Church at the same time too. I pray for each and every person that's joined us, the people that will watch this from now until the end of time, that you would help us to be a source of light out in the world. You would help us to grow our influence and to be seen as an alive and active church out in the social media marketplaces. God, thank you so much for everybody that's on here with me today. Help guide us, help us be wise in our decisions, and help us come together as soon as we can be safe physically together again to worship as a family. And we will never take Sunday morning in a church for granted again, God. We're blown away that it's been this long since we were physically together. We're so happy you've given us this online resource as a way to continue to connect. We cannot wait to get back together again, God, once it's safe, so that we can be your family worshiping all in one place with our hands raised at the same time too. So guys, thank you so much. It's funny, with my eyes closed and praying, I thought for a second when I got done, I was going to look and no one was going to still be on. I was praying by myself. So thanks for sticking through that prayer with me. It was so great to talk to you guys today, Wednesday, 1:00, next Wednesday, 1:00. I hope to see you guys on here, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.